You keep your mouth shut as Loki marches you down the hall. He's gripping the same part of your upper arm that he nearly crushed during Farbauti's earlier taunting. But you don't dare to mention it. Because there are other giants in the hall, and they're all watching you. You're pretty sure he wouldn't care anyway. The boots you were wearing when you set out on your fateful trip to the coffee shop in Reykjavik were thankfully thick-soled, but they clearly weren't designed to handle slick, iced-over stone floors, and you eye the approaching stairwell with increasing apprehension. You're going to end up falling and accidentally breaking your neck, assuming one of these giant blue people doesn't decide to do it for you. Ugh, this place sucks. I mean, it's pretty, but it sucks. Loki releases your arm and takes hold of the back of your collar, practically dragging you down the steps. It looks rough, but he does keep you from taking a tumble, so you figure he's just putting on a show. You can tell that the warm buzz of the potion was starting to wear off, and whatever bravery you'd felt is quickly fading alongside it. The room he pulls you into has a thick, heavy-looking wooden door, which Loki easily shoves closed. Could you even open that? It's like everything on this planet is designed to make your life miserable, to remind you that you're trapped. Loki begins to take off the armor things on his arms, and you take a moment to take stock of your surroundings. Maybe if you figure out the layout of this place, you can make some sort of plan? Probably not, but it's worth a shot. This room, at least, isn't covered in ice. No, it's stone, shiny and polished, with intricate patterns of parallel, swirling lines carved into the floor and walls. The majority of the floor is taken up by a large, dark pool, and steam is rising gently from the water surface. Light streams from several sconces situated about the room, though they didn't appear to house actual fire, but rather some sort of glowing white orbs. They're surprisingly bright. Maybe too bright, because Loki is stripping off his tunic now, and you have way too clear of a view. What are you doing? You scrunch your face down further under the scarf and the collar of your jacket, hoping to hide your blush.
Strange. I thought modern mortals were familiar with the concept of bathing.
He bares his teeth in a pained grimace as he rips the stained fabric from his skin, dropping it in an unkept heap on the ground. Damn, his whole upper body is a mess. You can't even tell what kind of shape he's actually in, because there's so much dry blood and weird gray ash matted against his skin, accompanied by a generous smattering of dark purple bruises across his ribs. What happened to you?
I was nearly killed, while saving all of creation as a matter of fact.
He replies, unfastening one of the buckles on the leather belts wrapped around his waist.
You're welcome.
You stare at your toes. After everything you've seen the last few days, you weren't even going to question that. Thanks, I guess.
Come here.
He's pointing to the ground by his feet, and you frown. What?
Come here and unfasten my boots, mortal.
What? No!
Fine,
he says, a smile on his face.
Then go wander the halls of Utgard on your own, and see how long you last. I assure you, I'll manage quite well without you.
Scowling, you drop to your knees at his feet and start yanking the ridiculous leather straps on his ridiculously complicated boots. What an ass. He'd really do it too. He'd seriously let you die just to teach you a lesson.
Also, bending over is incredibly painful at the moment, and as you know, I do not yet have anyone else to attend to me.
He adds, patting you on the head. You glance up, softening just the slightest bit. He's been so swaggeringly confident, you'd kind of forgotten that the fact of being stabbed through the chest probably hurts like hell. The boots are finally vanquished, and you sit back on your heels, trying to ignore the fact that you're still on your knees in front of the supervillain who destroyed a good chunk of New York City. Hey, you say, trying to sound more confident than you're feeling. Because there's no good way to ask this, but you really need to know. What exactly is the relationship between you and the Queen? Your mother was someone else? His hand clenches at his side. Maybe it's a good thing that you aren't standing, because it's much easier to avoid his eyes this way.
I was raised on Asgard, under the pretense that I was the son of Odin Allfather and Frigga Allmother, brother to Thor, Odin's son.
There's a strange detachment in his voice, and it makes your skin crawl. You didn't know? You whisper.
No, I did not know. Frost giants are abhorred on Asgard, you see. I knew very little of them until after I discovered the truth of Odin's folly. I began to study all that I could. My mother, Queen Frigga, helped me. She thought that it would soothe me, I suppose. It did not.
Odin, Frigga, Thor, Loki. Hell, you're even pretty sure that you remember seeing mentions of Jotunheim in your mythology books, although it was nothing like this. Nothing could have prepared you for this. Your head is swimming. Frabauti said that the old king, Laufey, refused to take any other wives or concubines because of Loki's mother. But he clearly had, because otherwise she wouldn't be sitting there on the throne looking all conniving and smug. Which had to mean that Loki's mother was dead. And he hadn't even known her name. Your heart twists. God, that's brutal. How can he seem so calm? Despite nearly breaking your arm, that is. Loki's hand is on your head again.
I am getting in the water, and so are you. Undress.
Then his hands are on his belt, and you scramble to your feet, backing away. I am not getting naked with you. No way.
Yes, you are. It will warm you, and besides that, you currently smell like my blood and Svartalheim ash. I'd strongly prefer not to have the reminder.
But...
No arguments. If you do not undress, then I will drag you into the water clothed, and you'll have nothing dry to put on when you re-emerge.
That would kill me!
Yes, well, that is your choice, isn't it?
Squeezing your eyes closed, you fume as you wait to hear the rustle of fabric and the gentle rippling of the water.
Do hurry, mortal. We haven't got all day.
When you open your eyes, you nearly scream again, because the man watching you from the pool isn't the one who'd been carrying you around for days. No, this is definitely Loki. The guy from the news footage of the Battle of New York, pale and submerged up to his shoulders in the dark water. What the hell?
I am a shapeshifter, girl. This form is much more comfortable. My birth form is actually rather unstable.
I thought you were avoiding using magic.
Powerful magic. Interdimensional magic. This hardly qualifies.
It's the same guy. No need to freak out even more. It's just Loki. Loki is Loki. And Loki is a freaking shapeshifter.
Come in, little mortal.
He purrs, and now he's clearly trying to freak you out. He reaches for you.
The water is warm.
Crap. Your cheeks flush even more. Could you turn around? Or close your eyes?
This is absurd. I am not tempted by you, girl.
But he turns around anyway, and you let out a sharp, relieved breath. Okay, now hurry up and get in the water before he changes his mind. Your fingers are shaking. Maybe from the nerves, maybe from the cold, and you struggle to unzip your coat and pry off your boots. The room is relatively warm. Relatively. You tear off your sweater and undershirt next, and then your jeans and thick socks. Now, it's just your underwear left to go, and you stare at the back of Loki's head suspiciously, expecting him to turn around the moment you're naked. But while it isn't freezing in this steamy bathroom, it is chillier than you'd like, and so you take a deep breath and quickly slip out of your underwear and bra. It's for survival. Just pretend that it's a locker room. Yeah, a locker room in hell. There don't appear to be any actual steps anywhere, because, of course, that would be too convenient. So you sit on the edge of the pool and awkwardly slide into the water, crossing your arms over your chest as Loki slowly turns, alerted to your presence by your less than graceful entry. The water honestly feels so damn good that for a few seconds, you forgot to be totally mortified about the fact that you and Loki are naked in a giant hot tub under some freaky alien palace. But only for a few seconds. Sure, the water seems pretty dark, but how much can he really see? Loki's hand emerges from the water, pointing to a shelf that juts out just below one of the sconces.
Go fetch that. You're going to wash me.
I'm not.
Just do it. You are testing my patience.
You shut your mouth and flounder over to the shelf, which is kind of awkward because the bottom of the pool floor slopes and becomes deeper the further you go. By the time you reach the shelf, you're on your tiptoes. This looks like a sponge, you say, baffled. You pick it up and squeeze it. It feels like a sponge too.
That's probably because it is a sponge. The oceans of Jotunheim are more bountiful than any of the continents.
God, you hate it when you sound so snide about it. You squeeze it again. It's so surreal somehow, finding something as ordinary as a sea sponge in the middle of this weird, menacing world. Turning, you work your way back towards him. Otherwise, he'll probably just come after you, and that's a much more terrifying concept. It is kind of funny in a way, that him looking like a normal, albeit incredibly handsome man, is almost more unsettling than him being blue, because blue Loki is at least familiar. This is Loki the god. Loki, brother of Thor. Loki the supervillain. Loki, who's looking at you now like he's about to lose his temper. You pick up the pace. At least he's got the decency to stay in deeper water. Here. You brandish the sea sponge in his general direction, and he looks at you as if you just lost your mind. He raises his arms, just barely skimming them along the surface of the water.
I am in a great deal of discomfort, mortal. I am trying to be generous enough to give you a purpose that merits all the trouble you are certain to cause me. So please do not be difficult.
Is this my life now? Am I going to spend the rest of my days giving Thor's villainous not-brother sponge baths on a frost planet full of blue giants? The theory that you're having some sort of bizarre hallucinations as you freeze to death in the cave is seeming more and more likely to be true.
Consider also that were I in a mood to have my way with you right now, the short amount of distance you are trying so valiantly to maintain would do absolutely nothing to stop me.
Is that supposed to make me feel better?
Take it how you will.
Okay, fine. And honestly, once you do start scrubbing the grime and leftover blood from his skin, you also start to relax just the tiniest bit. Because Loki remains incredibly still, you do your best to pretend he's a statue. It would help if he'd stop watching you, though. You wash his chest and his back under the merciful cover of the water, trying to actually touch him as little as possible. But when you finally reach the small of his back, you hesitate. He can't possibly expect you to go any lower, can he? But you never find out what exactly Loki might have intended, because just as he turns slightly to say something to you, there's a booming knock on the heavy door. A familiar, unpleasantly cloying voice follows it. "Oh, Prince Loki!" Damn her. It's the one from before, Scotty. Loki's eyes met yours as he glances over his shoulder, a smirk tugging his lips. "No," you say, dropping into the water up to your chin. "Don't you dare."
Enter,
he shouts, and you cry out in outrage as the door begins to swing open.